New England Ford Patriots fifth quarter. Brought to you by the New England Ford dealers, home of the best-selling cars and trucks in New England.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the fifth quarter. Patriots beating Miami in Miami 23-16, and they guess they had them all the way. With Bob Newmeyer, Scott Zolak, and Steve Diassi here. A week later, we can smile a little bit about what happened because they certainly turned it up a notch today.
Well, it wasn't easy, Bob, and it wasn't pretty, but, you know, as we've said all along, the way this thing's shaken out is he who wins the division is going to get in the playoffs, and you have to tip your cap to the Patriots. Look, no Dillon, no Ashworth, no Graham, no Givens. Copen goes down. They find a way to win the game somehow. Yeah, Farad throws for almost 400 yards against this defense, but they're 2-0 now in divisional play. They take care of business against Miami, Buffalo, and the Jets. They'll be in the playoffs.
Okay.
We've been down there in the past. We've played well in the past, yet we've come out and been on the losing end of games like that. But for what this team has done right here in this game today, as downtrodden as they are, what does it say about the Miami Dolphins? How bad are they if they're not able to beat this team? But never count the Patriots out. They are what they are. They're in first place in the AFC East. Big win because Buffalo beat Kansas City today. We can't ignore Buffalo, and maybe that's a new rival now. Buffalo, it's not the Jets. It's not Miami. I mean,
you take a few positives.
You're what you are.
You take a few positives away from this game, defensively in particular. They were better on third down. They were better in the red zone. They made some plays when they had to make them, and they got some guys stepping up that normally hadn't stepped up in the past. So you take a couple of positives away, but for the most part, they still have problems in the secondary. And I was worried, like I said in the pregame show, because Miami is a tough place to win, especially for the Patriots. And the play action, even though the running game wasn't killing them, the play action was still hurting them.
Heineken Red Star Player of the Game. I guess there are a lot of candidates. Right when Miami went ahead 16-15, you had to look at that broken play touchdown that the Dolphins scored, which we'll see a little later. But the play of the game, I guess, was the Patriots' answer to that. And I guess we're all agreed that the pass to Tim Dwight for 59 yards, the first of two plays in this drive, really was the play of the game.
I'm not sure what the number is. Is it number 20 or is this Brady's 21st comeback? I mean, you could just 21st. See calmly walking out onto the field. And, they go right up top right away. And all of a sudden, Tim Dwight makes the catch down there. You think they're going to sit on it, take the clock out. No, they go for the juggler, and they throw the corner route to Ben Watson. And, Brady brought him back again.
That's a catch he made.
Yeah,
that was a steal more than a catch.
From three guys that you normally wouldn't expect much from. Tim Dwight for one. I thought Ellis Hobbs provided a nice spark on defense, Bob, in this game, getting some playing time, and even Heath Evans. Where'd he come from?
Well, these are two of three guys I had down for potential player of the game. Here's the TD that came right after that. As Zoe said, they went right up to Ben Watson. You think they had 2.5 minutes to go. They would have spent some time working it in because they were in field goal range, and all they needed to take the lead.
The big thing, watch the catch right there. He gets the right foot in, but he has enough sense to drag that left toe. That doesn't even go to review. I mean, what a catch.
But the point is the clock management. They didn't waste any time. They didn't take any time off the clock in this drive at all, which I thought was a little surprising.
In that situation, you got to think that Miami's assuming you're going to play for the field goal, play for the win. Why not? That's a perfect time to go for the end zone. They had 4 guys across the goal line.
That's a good point. 7 in the box.
Yeah, and they put it right across over the top of the guys that were coming along the goal line.
Yeah, and let's not forget another point, that Nick Saban had 3 timeouts plus the 2-minute warning. He used 1 on first down. So they had 2 timeouts plus the 2. You try to cozy it up and get nowhere. There's still time on the clock for Miami to rally. So, attacking there wasn't the worst play at all. And Watson made the catch. But no lead is safe for the Patriots, is it?
No lead. It's like the Red Sox bullpen. Okay, yeah, the Patriots secondary and the Red Sox bullpen have a lot in common. Player of the game. This is your call. We throw out some names. Heath Evans. Anybody tuned in today and saw who's number 44? Heath Evans. Brewski had a great game today, and Ellis Hobbs had an outstanding game today, but that's just to mention 3. McGinnis played very well today, so there you go. Log on to CBS4Boston.com. Player of the game will be back. Belichick will be up, and so will Tom Brady. Will go back down to Miami.
Red Star Play of the Game is brought to you by Heineken. Heineken, it's all about the beer. Visit enjoyheinekenresponsibly.com.
Guests on New England Ford Patriots fifth quarter receive a gift certificate to Milton's, the store for men. At Milton's, you'll be as comfortable in their stores as you will be in their clothes.
Welcome back to New England Ford Patriots Fifth Quarter. Brought to you by the New England Ford dealers, home of the best-selling cars and trucks in New England.
All right, welcome back. Patriots win at 23-16. The trend continues. Win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win one. And that's 5-4, and that's where we are right now. Granted, with our panel, and Steve Diassi and Scott Zolak and Numi, this is not Indianapolis elite. This is Miami mediocre.
And when you look at what they did offensively, everybody's throwing against this Patriots team. It's not just Gus Frerotte, it's Kelly Holcomb, it's anybody who steps behind the center to throw the ball. But what I did like defensively, there was a lot more physical play. We saw some guys flying to the ball. We saw guys making big hits. Granted, they still had trouble covering guys downfield. But for the most part, that hit that I think it was Asante Samuel laid on Ricky Williams was just one of the best hits of the year so far for the defense. So take away the positives from the defense, the red zone, the third down, and the fact that they were a lot more physical against the run. That's what made this a pretty reasonable defensive effort.
We're going to go down to Miami, but first, Newman.
Well, I just like the way some of these guys stepped up. I mean, you look at Benjamin Watson playing for Daniel Graham. I mean, the guy had 2 touchdown passes. You look at Heath Evans, who comes off the pine for an injured Corey Dillon, who limps off after one play, gives you a decent effort from the running back position. Ellis Hobbs was in mothballs for the first half of this year. He comes out, with Gay hurt, and this guy hurt, and that guy hurt. Thought he did a nice job today. So you're getting some play, Bob, from some unsuspecting sources that helped them today.
All right, the head coach is up front and center.
When they scored there with like 2 something to go, 2.5 or 2:40. We came back and got that big play from Dwight, and then ended up just knowing that they were going to stack the line in there a little bit. So Tom made a great throw to Watson there, and then we're just hanging on that last drive, 2-point run. That was big points. At least to protect a 7-point lead. But, I was really proud of the team. We fought through. It's tough down here. It's tough to play. They're a good football team. They're well coached. They're physical, and they gave us all we wanted. Just proud of the guys to be able to hang in there and make some big plays when we needed them. We played more competitively on defense, but we still had trouble with them, and unfortunately they had a little bit of trouble with us at times. So. That's it.
Did you expect to get such a contribution out of Evans after just picking him up?
Yeah, well, he's looked good in practice, and he's done well in practice. He had some opportunities there just based on the way that position's gone. Guys have been banged around, but I thought he ran well, made some nice cuts, ran hard, picked up the blitz a couple times. So it was a big performance for us. Only a couple weeks of practice, and he stepped up, did a great job.
How about the job that Ellis Hobbs did, obviously?
Ellis played real competitively. He sure did. Yep, I thought, Asante and Ellis both really, stepped up there and competed. They got good receivers. They're big. They get the ball down the field. They're tough after the catch, but, I thought both those guys did a good job.
This game would break open the way it did in the fourth quarter. I mean, the first 3 quarters were just brutal.
Yeah, we've been in those games before. It's a lot of points scored and then none, or no points scored and then a lot. I think you just got to keep playing the situation and adjust to it as it goes. But it certainly got to be a track meet there at the end in the last quarter.
How was that play to Dwight? Was that Tom's first read? Was that where the play was?
Well, it's where the coverage broke, and Tim did a nice job. He just kind of ripped it away, made a nice catch, and then hung onto the ball, made a good run after the catch. But that was a good read by Tom. Nice job of Timmy getting down there and getting position on the ball.
Phil, you said you played a little more competitively defensively. Also, were able to force a couple turnovers.
Yeah, well, and we dropped some too. We had our hands on several balls and couldn't come up with them. But I thought we played competitively in the running game and tackled fairly well. These backs and receivers are tough to tackle. Can always be better. I'm not saying it was great, but it was more competitive, and especially on the running backs, they run hard, both of them, and they're a challenge to get on the ground. But I thought overall that we did tackle pretty competitively.
Did you have any information to the challenge to what might have been an interception by the Guinness to stay that final time?
Yeah, I didn't get a real good look at it, and what the coaches saw didn't look that convincing. So. Yeah, there was a couple close plays there. The interception by Bell, Welker down the sideline, but they were close. Just on those two, I got a pretty good look at them, and just didn't think it was enough. They looked like both good plays, really. Close plays, but good plays.
How do you explain the resourcefulness of this team?
I don't know. I think this team just tries to prepare well and go out there and play its best football every week. Doesn't always work out that way, but that's what they try to do. So I don't think there's anything magical about it. Let's just try to work hard and do a better job.
You talk about the last stand there. I mean, first and goal, I guess.
We blitzed really every play. We max blitzed everybody, and a couple big plays there by Ellis on those fade balls to Chambers, which we know they love, and then the third down play, the ball came out to Brown, and I think it was Hank made a nice tackle on him out there in the flat, and on the last play we were just trying to back off and cut off the goal line. It was a tight throw, low ball. I don't know. Do you have a shot at it? It was close. Yeah. So we were just trying to defend the goal line because we knew they had to go all the way to the end zone. So, but it was pressure on every play.
Coach, what's the story with Corey Dillon? He was in for one play.
Yeah, he tightened up. He tightened up there early in the game and just wasn't able to go back in.
You guys talked about, a little bit after last week, some of the players talked about a need to be a little more resourceful and resilient and show some more toughness and character. Do you think in a game like this where you were trading, where you found yourself down the field, they exhibited some of that stuff that they were talking about?
I thought they played well. I thought they made enough plays to win. It was tough. It was close. It was a couple plays could have gone another way, but they made enough plays to win. I don't know. You have to ask them about all that other stuff. I don't know.
Did you get to red alert? Is that why Troy Brown played a little defense today?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, we used him in there a little bit this week in practice in the slot, and thought he had a good week of practice. Made some nice plays on the ball as we went through the preparations, and we had other people in there as well, and just felt like by the end of the week he was the best prepared and had done a good job in practice. So we put him in there.
Is that kind of starts what'll keep going?
Well, I think it'll be week to week. We'll do the best thing, do what we feel like's the best thing every week. I'm not sure what that'll be for New Orleans.
You talk about Brady's performance. He got sacked a couple times and really looking like fourth quarter.
Well, I'm sure there's a couple throws Tom would like to have back, but as usual, he hung in there and made some great throws. Miami's a good pass rushing team. They got a lot of guys that can rush, and they also use some blitzes and pressure the quarterback. So he got hit a few times, but he hung in there and made some big plays when it counted. Two nice throws to Watson on the backside of some coverage and put it out there to Dwight. He had a lot of good plays there. Some of those 3rd and 5s were some tight throws to Branch and Brown, just to pick up the first down. But, as usual, Tom plays his best football when it counts the most. So it was probably true today.
Coach, not to bring up Bruschi every week, but he did come up big for you today, especially down the goal line.
Yeah, I think Teddy, is getting a little bit better each week. He's, not that he wasn't in condition. I'm not saying that, but just it's football conditioning. It's playing, it's hitting, it's doing all the things that a football player does, and that's different from doing wind sprints and running around the track and all that. So I think he's feeling better each week, and I thought again overall our front seven played pretty competitively up there. We tried to give our secondary a little help and put some extra pressure on them, but they stood up to it, and it was good to see Richard back in there. So I thought it was a pretty positive group. No, absolutely, yeah. I think he's done a good job with this football team. They're tough, they're physical, they play hard. They're very good on defense. They give you a lot of different looks. It's hard to match up on them. I think Nick's a tremendous coach. I'm sure he's going to do a great job down here. I wish we didn't have to play him twice a year, but it's the way it is. But I know it'll be tough.
Is it accurate that you sent your middle back to the inside guys a lot more than you had to?
We sent them a few times. Yeah. We've been sending them. Maybe I think they just showed up a couple more times, so you noticed it. But maybe a little bit more, but not. It wasn't like it was a big.
Bill, how about Watson? Didn't get too many plays in the first half, but then he just manages to get open too.
Yeah, those plays were really nice. They ended up being really good plays for us. The first touchdown, I think that Miami was in a blitz zone coming off our right side. He ended up being on a corner route on the left, and kind of came clean on that. And then last one they were in a pressure defense, and Tom made a good throw. So it was a nice job by Ben. It was a good job by Brady to read the coverage and get the ball to him. And those ended up being pretty good matchup calls against the play they had on those particular notes. So we're fortunate there.
Concern we feel about how the team is going to react to running the team.
just always, my concern every week is just how well we're going to play. I thought we had a good week of practice. I thought the team prepared hard, but that doesn't ensure anything. We've done that before and, not always played well. So, and today, there were a lot of things today that could have been better. It's not like, it was, any kind of perfect game or anything, So I think we just got to keep working and, understand the things that we need to improve on and try to improve on them, and the things that we're doing well, keep plugging along on those and keep making those strengths. But it's tough every week. We're in a tough division, playing a lot of tough teams. Played a lot of them in the first 9 games of the season, and we got a lot of them coming up. So I think we got to get ready for this kind of game every week in and week out.
Bill, considering all the challenges you've had this season, you feel like you're in first place? What you are?
There's a lot of football. Yeah, I don't think it really means anything. There's a lot of football left. There's practically half the season. There's 7 regular season games left. So we won 5. Well, that's not going to clinch anything. I wouldn't worry about that. So if we don't win any more than 5, it won't be a good year. So we got a long way to go, and it's good to be where we are. We'd rather have a better record than we have, obviously, but it's 5-4. So we just got to try to get some wins here in the next 7 games. Starting this week against New Orleans. I mean, they're coming off a bye week. I'm sure they'll be fresh, ready to go. They beat us in preseason, so we have a lot of respect for them, know what kind of football team they have, and we're going to start all over again and tee it up on Sunday.
Anything else, guys?
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, back with the 5th quarter, the final 23-16. The Patriots are 5-4. We got a lot more to talk about with Steve Diassi, Scott Solak, Bob Newmeyer, Ted Johnson, and Steve Burton, Michael Felger down in Miami. We'll be right back.
Bill Belichick's postgame news conference is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts. Bring yourself back. Welcome back to New England Ford Patriots 5th quarter. Brought to you by the New England Ford dealers. Home of the best-selling cars and trucks in New England.
Okay, a win in Miami. Let's go down to Steve Burton and Ted Johnson. Gentlemen?
Yeah, a big win in Miami. They escaped with one. I will say that. Tom Brady didn't have his best afternoon, but he had a great 4th quarter.
He did, as usual. And when the pressure's on, Tom always seems to deliver. Not his best performance. He got pressured a lot today. He got knocked down. He got pressured. He got hurried. He got sacked several times.
But the guy keeps getting up.
But he keeps getting up. But he did not look comfortable back there. He overthrew a lot of guys. Guys were dropping balls as well, to his credit. But you know what? They found a way, as always, to pull out a win, and that's the way the Patriots do it.
Here's what was good to see is that the Patriots finally are going to their tight ends. Christian Fourier had some catches. Ben Watson, 2 touchdowns on the afternoon. And this guy's a stud. They just got to find a way to get the ball into Ben Watson's hands because he runs great patterns and he's tough to bring down.
It's hard. You put a safety on him, it's very, very difficult. I mean, the guy runs a 4.5 40. So not too many safeties can cover him, and he gets away from coverage all the time, and he's a big guy. So he just, he's very, very difficult, especially with a linebacker can't cover him, but most safeties can't cover him either.
Ben Watson comes up big today. Tom Brady, down here in Miami, he throws interceptions, and they're just bad decisions. And he doesn't normally make bad decisions, but you'll see one here when Bell picks him off. Down here in Miami, remember last year he threw one from his butt. Right. He just makes, every now and then, a bad decision down here in Miami.
I don't know if it's the salt air. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with it with Miami, but these corners are very aggressive against Tom. They've always had huge success against our passing game. It's very hard for offense to move typically against these guys. So Tom not making the smarts to play there to that interception, but that's very uncharacteristic. But again, when he has the chance to come back and win the game, he does it like he always does.
All right, so you got to get a picture of this. The media is coming down in the elevator, okay? 2 plays later, the Patriots are back on the board. He goes deep to Tim Dwight. All of a sudden, we missed that play altogether.
We did, but we got the info. We're ready to rock. But we did miss it. But 2 plays like that, bam, bam. That's huge. That was huge to come back and respond like they did.
And then he goes deep again to Watson in the corner of the end zone for a nice corner play. The Tim Dwight play, 2 plays right down the field. field, and they take the lead.
That's you know what? That was huge. The way they had to respond like that, they didn't have a lot of time to chew up the clock. Ben Watson in the corner. Like I said, safeties can't cover him. You know, they put him in the slot a lot. They put him out wide a lot to get him one-on-one on corners and safeties, and he's very, very good in space.
Numi asked when the postgame show first started, where did Heath Evans come from? Well, he came from Miami, and he wanted to prove the Miami Dolphins wrong because the Miami Dolphins just let this guy go a few weeks ago. He comes in and does a pretty good job.
Ran with a little bit of attitude. I like that. I like his style. Great cutting ability, good vision. He saw the holes. He hit them. He's a very, very physical player. So far, you know, so good. We'll see how this thing goes, but I had a great game today.
And when a team lets you go, you sort of have something to prove, don't you? You want to come back. And there's a reason why Belichick had this guy playing this game.
There's always a method for the madness. You know, obviously he wanted to prove to these guys that they should have never let him go, and he put it to them pretty good. I think the Patriots had more rushing yards than Miami did, which I would have never guessed, quite honestly. But they did a great job, controlled the ball, and that was key to it.
And you know, in our pregame show, we were talking about it's going to come down to the quarterbacks. Gus Frerotte didn't have a bad day, but when you match Gus Frerotte against Tom Brady, Brady most likely is going to win out.
Yeah, Gus, you know, he hasn't had a good year. He's overthrowing the balls a lot. The receivers are dropping the balls a lot. So a lot of their success is predicated on the running game.
In other words, Miami's not that good.
Miami is not that good. They quite honestly, if they had run the ball a little bit more, they had 25 rushing attempts. If they have 30 or more, they're 3-0. They couldn't get the running game going. I think 75 yards total rushing the ball. Just not enough. The front seven, I got to get up for the boys on the front seven. They did a great job. Very, very physical game. Set the edge, didn't let any big plays outside, and really made a difference.
I think everyone is tired of seeing Corey Dillon stand on the sidelines. Dillon played the first play of the game, and then came out. Coach said he had tightened up, and he was out for the rest of the game. What is the story with Corey Dillon?
That's a good question. I'm really not, the best guy to answer that. I've been injured many, many times, so the injuries are part of the game.
And you know he's frustrated. You see the facial expressions and everything else. You see him stand on the sidelines.
But it was kind of like, where's Corey, right? I mean, I think we were all expecting him to play and be a big part of this game. For him not to play, I don't know. We thought he maybe got hurt in warm-ups, but I'm not sure what the deal is with Corey. 2 weeks ago, he looked like a horse, against Buffalo, and did a decent job last week. So I don't know where he is or what his status is with his team, but the boys need him if they're gonna have any success going into the playoffs.
Well, we do know where the Patriots are. They're 5-4. They're in first place all by themselves. In the meantime, we're going to wait for Patriot quarterback Tom Brady to come out of the locker room and take the podium. We'll go back to Bob Lobel.
All right, guys. I don't know what you can do about Corey Dillon. If he's hurt, he's hurt. And they just think that, what more can you say? With Bob Newmeyer and Scott Zolak and Steve Diassi, you wanted to talk to Diassi about something.
Well, I thought that what was very interesting about Belichick's press conference was his statement about they came with full blitz mode down the stretch. This is a sea change from Eric Mangini and what he's done all year, and really a philosophical change of what the Patriots have done historically. They beat the Rams in Super Bowl I without blitzing. They beat Peyton Manning 16 ways to Sunday until last Monday without blitzing. Typically teams blitz, Steve, because they're trying to hide weaknesses in the secondary. My question to you as a defender, Steve, is that what's going on here? You like the strategy now? They're bringing Bruschi almost every play. They were in full blitz mode almost the entire fourth quarter.
I think it's two things. The first thing you hit on exactly, Numi, was the idea that you're trying to cover up for a couple of guys. And you had guys going down left and right, and Wilson goes down in the secondary. You got guys like Hank Poteet in there. Hobbled Randall Gay is in there too. So what do? You try to force the issue. The other part of it is, if you're going to go down, you might as well go down swinging. They've been so bad in the red area that you figure, what the heck? If we're going to go down, we're going to go down with guys in someone's face.
Well, let's take a look at that last drive, okay? What I want to know it, the last stand drive.
What I didn't understand about that drive, a couple of play calls by Miami. The first thing is they were successful earlier in the game. You remember that they threw a fade to Samuel's side, to the other side. That was the actual last play right there, the one that they on fourth down that they stopped. But previous to that, they threw two fades over to the offensive left side of the end zone. And you're talking about fades. Well, this again is the fourth down play. A great breakup. Again, Chambers had a chance to catch that ball, that looked like a very, very catchable. He had that was not only his first drop. He had 3 or 4 drops this game. A good receiver makes that catch. But when you talk about the first 2 plays, those were fades to the left side, and we all saw the sun right in the receiver's eyes. I didn't understand the idea of that. I know you had the height mismatch against Hobbs with Booker and then with Chambers after that, but they were successful with the mismatch that they had on the right side against Samuel. And then the third down play was just a great play by another guy who showed up out of nowhere, Hank Poteet.
I guess if you're going to let Gus Frerotte beat you, you're in deep trouble, no matter what field you're playing on.
But any quarterback nowadays, right now, is beaten up for yardage on this Patriots secondary. It doesn't matter, like I said earlier. Everybody is throwing for major yards.
But don't you think these guys stepped it up,
Physically, they did.
I mean, they really played harder today.
They did physically.
But they still have some problems, and the one guy that's killing them, though, is Eugene Wilson. I mean, this guy's playing
worst
bad
game as a Patriot, without a doubt, today. You talk about, and we've heard this all along, the miscommunication out there, and this is the price you pay when you elect the blitz like they did. You saw the play where the receiver came in motion, they snapped it out of shotgun, receiver knocked the ball down. I like to pull that one up. They're in total blitz mode, what Belichick called maximum blitz mode, right there. All of a sudden, this guy comes in motion. Wilson continues to stay with him. He passes off the touchdown pass on the post route. Asante Samuel falls back. There's miscommunication there. You can't have that. He's the free safety. He's the guy that's got to call the shots back there. And this is coming from a guy that was a cover corner in college. So 2 times on the sideline, had a chance to knock guys out of bounds. He didn't do it. Stone didn't do it. There was no punch right there, but at least Asante Samuel hit somebody today. That was what you were talking about.
We've got to run back to Miami. I got to show you this busted play sometime, but if you didn't see it, it's pretty wild. But it almost was the play of the game. Let's go back to Miami. Steve?
Almost was the play of the game. Joining me now is Roosevelt Colvin.
Start over. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh,
yeah, of course we're live. Right. Lobel said it was almost the play of the game. You want to tell him otherwise?
I think that was the play of the game. So don't ever embarrass me like that, Lobel.
At least it was early on. Now, of course, it was 30 yards down the field, but it was a big play.
Yeah, well, a difficult situation I was in. I had a guy that was shallow and a guy that was deep, and he kind of lofted the ball over my head, tried to get back a little bit deeper. Fortunately, he fell down and tried to get back up, and I just, had some awareness to poke the ball out.
Stripped him.
That's a great play. I mean, the deep over, I'm assuming that's a very difficult play to defend. And for you, an effort play. That's an effort play to come back and force a fumble. If they score before halftime, make it 14-3, that's a huge, huge difference right there.
Yeah, and, in those situations, you just want to try to make sure you do your job first, and once you get your job done, second effort and hustle. And initially, everything was fine. He sort of scrambled, bought himself some time, and, they made a big play on their part. Fortunately, I came back and knocked the ball out.
Stopping the run, Rosie, it seemed like you guys really set the edge. It was very apparent to me that you guys did not want to let them get easy yards outside on the perimeter. You seem to have a great game, setting the edge and forcing the plays back inside. Was that an emphasis all week?
Well, I think obviously anytime you play against Ricky Williams, you know the talent that he has, the capability he has to take the ball outside. And then you add the Brown, the rookie, in there in the mix, and their offensive line does a great job. The tight ends do a great job of blocking for him. So it was important for us to try to funnel everything back inside. They tried to be physical, tried to be a little aggressive, and fortunately enough, we came out with the victory.
I will say this: I don't know if this game was boring to play, but it was boring to watch the first 3 quarters, and then it turned into a track meet.
Yeah, well, every time we come down here, it seems like it's going to be some drama, and we just tried to fight it to the end. We knew at the beginning of the game we had to play for 60 minutes, and it was hot. We had to deal with a little bit of adversity, and the guys stuck together, and through thick and thin, we're on top.
What do you think about the last 2 possessions? The Chambers touchdown, he was wide open on that. It seemed like you guys were blitzing. The second time they were down there, you went right back to the blitz. Pretty gutsy call by Eric there. It seemed to work out great.
Well, I think the quarterback was doing a great job of sitting back and sort of reading the coverages that we were in, and buying himself some time. So you have to speak with Eric specifically of what he was thinking. But when you bring the blitz, obviously the ball has to come out, or hopefully somebody on the defense will get home, and we come up with some big plays. I think they dropped a couple passes, so we were on the fortunate end today.
I mentioned Brady before you got here, and he always seems to make that dumb interception down here in Miami, but in Brady-like form, he seems to bring you back.
Yeah, and that's huge for them to be able to go out on the field to throw that big bomb down to Timmy and to get the touchdown to Ben in the corner. And then, as they were driving the ball to come up in the red zone, 4 downs, to come up with the plays to get us off the field and get the victory. Total team effort, and we got to continue to work hard. We got a good team coming up next week.
5-4.
5-4.
First place.
Looking for 6-4.
All right, Roosevelt Colvin, our guest. In the meantime, we'll go back to Bob Lobel, waiting on Tom Brady. So there you go. Back to you, Bob.
Well, I think you guys are a little confused as to what we were talking about in terms of almost the play of the game. We were talking about the busted play that put Miami ahead 16-15, which would have been the play of the week had the Patriots not rallied. So let's take a look at that tape, and we'll talk about it here. We weren't talking about anything that Roosevelt Colton was involved in, so you guys are off the hook. Am I right, gentlemen? I mean, this would have been the play of the week on any given day.
Well, I want to know what happens to Eugene Wilson and Samuel in this place.
Oh, they stopped. Not only did they stop,
they quit?
Watch Eugene Wilson. Teddy Bruschi's making a check right here at the line. Here comes the guy in motion. There's the snap. Here comes Randall Gay up the middle. All of a sudden, Farad goes to the right. Eugene Wilson actually moves to his left to continue out in the flat. I think it's Asante Samuel's guy. You see Wilson coming right here. Watch the bottom of the screen. Here he comes out down to the flat. You get two guys on one. Either that's Wilson's guy or Asante Samuel's guy.
Or with Gay coming across like that, I've never seen a blitz where they bring the cornerback
and he
they
comes up the middle.
At the middle of the field and bring him up the middle. I have a feeling he saw the ball on the ground and decided that he was going to go after the football. That was his. Yeah. That might have been his man that was running free.
That's a risk you take when you blitz like that too. Yep. Either you better have lockdown man in the back, or else you're going to give up a touchdown, or you're going to get the sack.
Because you're out there in the field and you're reacting like that. I mean, you see a busted play like that, you're saying, "Whoa, this is all in our favor." It turns around, it wasn't.
Football's a game of reaction.
Right, and I think that our criticism of Eugene Wilson isn't necessarily centered on that one play, Bob. I mean, I think he took some really bad angles trying to tackle guys, not knocking Welker out of bounds on that ridiculous play down the sideline late in the game. I read a quote from a rival GM about Eugene Wilson online this week and said, this guy better get his head on straight. Well, I didn't see any of that today. He's continued to hurt this football team with the bad angles and ill-advised attempted breakups on pass plays. He needs to pick up his game significantly.
Early in the football game, there was a deep post that Chambers dropped. Remember, he laid out for it. It went right through his hands. Heck of a pass by Farad. It was rolling to his left, threw back against his body. But do we have to be fair here to Eugene Wilson? Are they asking him to do too much? Yep. He's in essence, he's replacing Rodney Harrison. He's taken out of his role. Now it's his job to step up. He's still a young guy. I know he has a lot of experience as far as big games, Super Bowls, playoffs, and that. Maybe he's thinking too much, and you know more about defense.
We've all played.
It's about reacting.
We've all played, Zoe, with guys who would rather play than think. And Rodney Harrison was a great guy to have out there that could direct these guys wherever you want them to be. Now Eugene Wilson doesn't have that safety valve of Rodney Harrison telling him where to be, how to be there. He might have to even be making some of those decisions himself. And I don't blame him. There's a lot of guys like that don't want to think when they're on the field. They just want to play football. I think the overburden of this responsibility of calling some of these defenses might be too much for this young kid.
Well, the more sensitive side of Mr. Zolak and Mr. Diassi is coming out here.
Well, really, I mean, Wilson could bail out.
Ask why.
I mean, by Chambers.
Let's get to the bottom of it.
I mean, Chambers is a guy that took umbrage at Nick Saban calling his receivers decent. Chris Chambers dropped 3 or 4 passes.
Yes,
might have made the play in the end zone and tie the game with less than 2 minutes to go. You're looking for love, Chris Chambers. Catch a few footballs, and maybe you'll get some kudos from Nick Saban. You were the GOAT of today's game, as far as I was concerned.
All right, it's all about a cry for love, and we'll be back after this break when we go down to Miami and hear from Tom Brady. Patriots win. Log on player of the game. Heath Evans, Teddy Bruschi, Ellis Hobbs, Ben Watson. Did you say Ellis?
Ellis Hobbs.
Eugene Wilson? I think not.
No Dunkin' Donuts Dash for Daylight today. The Patriots did not return a punt or kickoff for a touchdown today, meaning Curry Cianfrocca of Arlington doesn't win the trip to see the Pats play the Jets, but will still receive a Dunkin' Donuts gift bag. Log on to UPN38.com to find out how you can enter next week's Dunkin' Donuts Dash for Daylight.
Once again, we've had 9 straight losers on our contest, but if somebody will just make a dash for daylight, we can have a winner. So here you go, gentlemen. Veritable 2-game swing here. The Patriots and the Dolphins. A win would have put the Pats in, 4-5, opposite, and it's just a 2-game swing. It's the way it goes. And Buffalo, a surprise winner today over Kansas City.
Would have been a 3-team tie had Miami beaten New England today.
Here you go.
Hey, Tom, is this press conference going to be a little longer than the last one from last week?
I can make it as quick as last week. Right?
How big was this win?
It was huge. It was huge. I mean, we haven't had a whole lot of success down here, so it's always tough. I mean, the weather's hot. I mean, they've got a good defense. They've had a great defense for years, and our defense really stepped it up today. Everyone's proud of what they've done, and there's some tough. I mean, it was tough. It was tough. We lost some guys early. I mean, we lost some guys late, and we just kept fighting.
Nice to go to Watson for a change.
Yeah, he had 2 big catches. He had 2 very big catches, and he's got to keep it going. I mean, he's a guy that's got to keep making plays, and in order for this offense to do well, I mean, he's got to step it up and keep improving and continue to be more consistent. But 2 big catches today, hopefully he can build on.
You said they had a good defense, but even you got to be surprised that last drive was 2 plays.
Well, we executed pretty well on those. Timmy ran a great route. I think one of their players got out of position. He made a great catch and run, and then the next play was all-out blitz, and it's tough covering an all-out blitz. And then I laid it up there for Ben. He made a great catch, and then the 2-point play was huge too. And the defense held it at the end, so it was exciting. I mean, always exciting. This team.
We talked about the need.
Who? Yeah, exactly. He's doing great. He's done great since the day he got here. I remember the first day of practice. We were like, God, this guy, why did someone release him? But he's got great vision. He's tough. He brings some toughness to the offense. He's a smart guy, and he's picked things up very well. So we thank the Dolphins very much for letting him go.
You talked about toughness last week and the need to maybe show a little bit more. Yeah. Was today a good instance of that, even though it was a difficult back, not a pretty game? Did you show enough resilience and toughness?
It was gritty. It was gritty. It was tough. I think the players, there's a lot of soul searching this week, and I think the players really dug deep. I mean, Coach Belichick challenged us, and he said some pretty tough things, and guys figured out a way to respond. And you're right, it didn't look pretty. I wish we could have made some more plays out there, but like I said, it's been a good defense, and they made some very good plays out there today, and I think everyone's going to be happy playing home.
You talked about the touchdowns. What about the picks? Down here in Miami, you and those...
Yeah, they made pretty good plays on him, They made pretty good. But last one, I mean, trying to a guy that's going one-on-one and laid it out there for Ben. The guy undercut him, made a great play. And the other one, the guy, I thought he hit his back to the ball. I laid it up there for Troy, and he spun around at the last minute and made a great play. So I thought it was 2 excellent plays. I mean, sometimes you say, God, why'd I throw it? And then obviously I wouldn't have liked to throw them, seeing the outcome of them, but they made some pretty good plays.
Do you love it like this when the game's on the line and you know that you're down a couple points? Just give you a little bit of time to get the ball back.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet at the end. I mean, I think the offense has always been excited about that, and always excited about having the opportunity to do that. And couple plays we scored, but I think we love seeing the defense out there too. And I mean, first and goal on the 6, and they lose 4 yards. I mean, that's pretty impressive. It's a great effort.
I'm sorry, how about the ball to Dwight? What was that play?
It was called all go. So it kind of tells you what everyone's doing. And Timmy just split the defenders, and I kind of caught him at the last second, and I threw it, and he reached out, grabbed it, and I think the other guys had his hands on it too, and Timmy kind of pulled it away from him. So I mean, that's the margin of error, and that's the margin that it took for the victory. And I'm glad Timmy grabbed it and he made a nice run after catch.
Hey, Tom.
And the next play was the score to Watson.
Tom. Ted John, CBS 4. Hey, man, I was just going to ask you, on second down, it seemed like you guys are almost in like a third down mode. You're in shotgun a lot.
Yeah.
Miami seems to create a lot of negative plays on first down. Was that something you guys planned all week, just to kind of get in a third down? It looked like you guys were in third down offense and second down a lot.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think we figured sometimes you got to go back in the shotgun, and sometimes it helps kind of helps you see the field a little better and helps with the pass rush. So, I like being back there, and I think you're right. And sometimes it was 2nd and 10 and we're back in the shotgun. And there's a few teams in the league that do it and throw the ball pretty well. I thought we made some plays doing it today. If you're going to throw it, I don't mind getting back there and seeing the field a little better.
Getting that hurry-up offense, a little change up there. You feel comfortable in that offense?
Sure did. We did it at the end of the second half. And we moved the ball well. We tried to do it a little bit in the second half. They made a few plays to kind of get us out of it. But I think anytime you can get the defense on their heels, keep them going backwards, that's important for us, and that was good for us to do that today.
Tom, the last 2 years you've won the Super Bowl, even though you've lost a lot of starting players along the way that guys fill in. And again, that seems to be the case with this team, is resourcefulness. How important quality is that for this team?
Well, I think it's just we got to keep playing gritty and playing physical. And just because you wear the Patriot uniform doesn't mean we've gone out there and played like this Patriot team and kind of what we're all about. So I'm glad it was a tough effort today. And you lose Corey early in the game, you lose Troy late in the game, Graham doesn't play, Ashworth doesn't play, Lights hadn't been in there, Patrick's not in there, Kevin's not in there. I mean, there's been a lot of guys. So Heath fills in, Heath does a great job, Mike Cloud does a great job. Christian came in there and made some big plays today. Timmy Dwight. So just got to keep pushing along. Like I said, I think the expectations for the position and not so much for the player. I mean, you get in there and you play. You got to play very well, and a lot of guys stepped up today.
Were you surprised to see Dwight in the one-on-one situation he was on that play? Because it looked like there was a safety that should have come over there.
Yeah, I think they were trying to disguise a little bit, and I think we snapped the ball, and I think the guy was out of position. I was kind of trying to identify what they were trying to do. I think a few of the interceptions, both interceptions came on the same coverage where there was double coverage on a certain guy. First time I threw it into the double coverage. Second time I picked the one-on-one, and the guy made a great play. So I think that's the coverage they were in, and I saw Timmy, who was one-on-one, and I just laid it up there for him. He made a great play.
Tony, you and Ben Watson have been trying pretty hard to get on the same page and really process a lot of the things that he has to do. Was today a good day for him to get some positive reinforcement?
Well, he's very willing to learn, and he's working hard, and I think he's showing some toughness. He showed some toughness in there today. And then he really didn't play last year, so this is kind of his first year. He played an Indy game last year, and this is his 9th game this year, so it's really been 10 games as a pro. And I think when he can get running and do the things that he has some great skills as a player. I think we just have to continue to get him doing the things that he does best. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, see you later. Bye, guys.
See ya. Okay, there you go. Tom Brady, 23-16 when we come back. Asante Samuel lays a big hit on Ricky Williams, and we'll show you that and talk about it when we come right back with the 5th quarter.
The New England Ford Patriots 5th quarter, brought to you by the New England Ford dealers, home of the best-selling cars and trucks in New England.
Welcome back to the Patriots 5th quarter, and joining us now is Michael Felk of the Boston Herald. You just came from the locker room. These guys are pretty sky high, as well as they should be, but Miami Dolphins, not a great football team.
Thank God Miami stinks. I think if Miami was a good team and Gus Frerotte was a good quarterback and Chris Chambers could hold on to the ball, the Patriots lose this game. So that's the negative way to look at it. I mean, the Patriots certainly did enough to lose the game. Thank God they play in the AFC East. It's a bad division. They're the least bad team of 4 bad teams.
But since we're pretty positive, let's look at the positive way to look at it.
Well, I mean, you brought up Ellis Hobbs just here in the break, and I think you can see right away an upgrade over Dwayne Starks in at least the physicality. And at least this guy is a physical player. He'll put his hands on receivers. You saw him play physical down in the goal line, in the end zone in that crucial series. Dwayne Starks doesn't play that way, and Dwayne Starks is more accomplished. Ellis Hobbs is a rookie. Fine. I prefer the way Ellis Hobbs plays. I think it fits better with their defense.
Very aggressive style of play for a rookie. And then in the pressure situations for him to step up like he did, is pretty impressive. A lot of rookies shy away from the pressure moments, and he had 2 plays back-to-back where they threw the fade route to his guy, and he handled it with no problem. That's pretty gutsy.
And at least he's around the football.
Right.
I mean, we need cover corners and defensive backs that are going to be in the area of where the ball's being played.
I think they went to him 2 weeks too late. I think that coming out of that bye, Dwayne Starks should have been out of that spot. I think they stuck with Dwayne Starks about 6 quarters too long. But, Dwayne Starks is now on injured reserve, and you'll see Hobbs at that spot the rest of the year.
I'd like to bring up the hit of the game because, in my opinion, the hit of the game, Asante Samuel on Ricky Williams. And this just goes to show you how Ricky Williams needs to put on weight. He says weight's not a factor. Asante Samuel is half his size, and he just levels Ricky Williams.
Asante Samuel, Ted, for a guy who's not very big, you don't consider a physical guy.
Right.
He has, over the course of his career, had some really memorable pops.
He's sneaky. That shoulder, he gets low. It's a game of leverage, You get under him. And Ricky was a little off balance, and boom, he got him.
But if Ricky's normally Ricky, he runs right over Asante Samuel.
Yeah, and again, The secondary blew some plays. They certainly let Miami move up and down the field sometimes in crucial situations, but at least I think we saw some physical play, which is more of the Patriots' trademark. Step in the right direction. And they're not there, but at least they play a little bit more like we remember them playing.
Even Eugene, I thought, had, he looked like he had a lot of effort. He was really trying. He was really trying to make up for maybe some past wrongs, and play with a little bit of attitude today. Even.
Had an interception. He should have held on the football, but but hey, what are you going to do?
But we're looking at the positive.
Looking at the positive. That's right. The positive is they're 5-4, and they got New Orleans next.
And that should be their first 2-game winning streak of the year. If it's not, then we got big issues. Then it's over.
All right. So there you go. Anything else?
Are you back on now?
I'm not on the wagon in terms of being a championship team. This should be a playoff team. This should be a division winner. Can they win a championship with the way they play out there today? No way. I mean, something has to change dramatically. The one interesting thing I found from the locker room, Steve, since you asked, is that Bill Belichick during the week showed these guys tape of themselves in between plays, and he didn't like the emotion on the team. He didn't like the way the guys were not picking each other up. So what he would do is he would show an example of guys sort of dragging their shoulders and not congratulating other teammates, and then show a play where everyone was jumping on each other and they were showing emotion. He said, this is what you do when you're playing well. You're showing emotion, you're picking each other up. When you're not playing well,
you're dogging it.
No one's congratulating anyone. Everyone's going off on their own, and that sort of drove the message home, and I guess he's done that in the past.
He's done that in the past, and it's always worked. When you get 11 guys playing individually, it just doesn't work. Football's not that way. It's very much an 11 person effort. You need every guy there, being there, and emotionally. It's fun. You enjoy playing with your guys, congratulate them, be enthusiastic. It's the same at the lower levels, the same at this level. It doesn't matter.
Well, Troy Brown said after the game last week that this team lacked passion. Very startling statement, very frank statement. I think that...
For Troy.
Yeah, exactly.
Certainly.
And I think the coaches heard that, and that was the coach's response to it. Guys, this is how you play when you play with emotion, and he showed them specific examples to drive it home. I found that interesting.
Well, like you said, it's not an individual game. There's no I in team, but there is in win. Let's go back to Bob Lobel. Bob?
Okay, so now we know the Patriots have a Tape of the Week club. 1 week it's Hagler Hearns, and the next week it's themselves walking around with their heads down. So if you want emotion, I guess all you have to do is turn to Asante Samuel and exhibited that emotion.
Well, what you had to like about that was he got his clock cleaned last week by Marvin Harrison and Peyton Manning in that Monday night fiasco against Indianapolis. But, my thought after seeing this play, Bob, was you think Ricky Williams, after he got hit by Samuel, wishes he was smoking dope in the French Alps, eating alfalfa sprouts and blackberries?
Well, he saw a lot of grass here on the outside, Numi. I think that's why he bounced it outside. But give Asante Samuel credit here for stepping up. How many times have you seen cornerbacks, safeties, strong safeties, whatever, go down at the feet of these guys, try and cut them down? He had the stones to stay in there, hit him, bring the shoulder, get the pop. Is this going to be the hit that we talked about back a couple years when Brian Cox laid the one on Jerome Pathon? I don't think so, but it's a good start. Yeah. We'll take it.
You're absolutely right. And when the guys were talking about it, and Teddy in particular was talking about how Bill Belichick addressed this team in terms of their attitude towards the game, a lot of times, and I think we saw that today, a lot of times you can tailor a game plan, either offensively or defensively, to get your guys thinking more aggressively. You have a game plan like we saw today where they're blitzing one they usually do.
Feet off.
And what you saw today was much more hitting than this defense usually did. You saw a lot more guys around the ball carrier when the guy was trying to run the ball too. So it's not just the players, it's also the coaching and the game plan that can make you more aggressive.
Yeah, and the other point I think needs to be made, and I kind of take exception to what our colleague Steve Burton said about Brady's second interception, that it was a, quote, dumb play. The guy made a great play, came underneath the tight end and made the play. Maybe his first interception, double coverage, might have not been the greatest throw in the world. Is every interception a dumb play? Consider this. Brady is playing without number 1 running back Dillon, number 2 running back Falk, number 3 running back Patrick Pass, without number 1 left tackle Matt Light, without number 1 tight end Daniel Graham, without number 1 center Dan Coppin. He's the glue that's holding this team together.
Givens.
He's the reason. Givens, another one, Diossi, you're right. I mean, without this guy, they are dead, done, kaput, whatever. See you later. I mean, and how long did it take him to drive him down the field after Miami went ahead? About a second and a half?
Not only that, how about the post-game press conference? When have you ever heard Tom Brady talk about injuries in the post-game press conference? He says, hey guys, give us some props. Look at what we did it with today. Look how we came back. Look how we fought.
Okay, let's go back down to Miami. Asante Samuel lit it up, and Ricky Williams went up in smoke. And now let's hear what Steve has to say about Numi just said. Steve?
Oh, Numi, I heard Numi say, about talking about my comments, and maybe I should have said dumb decision, because if you looked at that play closely, you'll see Tim Dwight underneath wide open. You don't throw into double coverage, and Tom Brady, obviously, not every interception is a dumb play, but he'd like to have that one back. Dumb decision.
Well, let's have...
Agree? Disagree?
It's a matter of semantics. It's a team effort here, Steve, so it's very difficult your position you put me in. But, hey, I agree with both of you equally.
Hey, the only point,
what do you say to that?
I mean, I think we'd all in agreement. Whether you say it was a dumb throw or a dumb decision, whatever. Where would they be without this man right now?
Oh, no question. You're absolutely right. I mean, obviously, in my opinion, Tom Brady's the best quarterback in the league. MVP of 2 Super Bowls. And you know what? He never thinks he's out of a football game. Even when he's down, he'd always like to he'd be the last guy to always want the football. And that's the true confidence that you have in the quarterback, and he's the best in the business.
The beauty of it is what separates athletes at this level is guys that can come back from bad plays. Guys are always going to make bad plays.
Right.
And Tom doesn't let it rattle him. He always responds and comes back, and that's what separates the good players, from the average players.
Now let me ask Ted Johnson. Let me ask you, Ted Johnson, this question along with Steve Diassi and Scott Zolak about the Dwayne Starks affair. Put on IR, phantom shoulder injury, basically saying we don't want you around anymore. We'll eat the money. Was this a defining moment? Could this be interpreted as a defining moment, coach versus player? Coach sends message to team. Ted, you can respond to this first, and then I'll let these other guys.
I think so. I mean, it obviously makes a statement when you put a guy on IR who's making what he was making. I mean, that's a strong statement. He was kind of going to be the cornerstone at his corner position, and he just didn't do it. So he got a lot of chances. They didn't keep going back to him. They said, hey, enough is enough. It's a bottom line business. And Bill, hey, if you're not getting it done, he'll get somebody else in there, and that sent a strong message to the guys, and they hear it loud and clear.
Steve?
Well, I wanted to ask. Go ahead.
Well, the other part of that equation is, too, Bill Belichick surrounds himself with smart players, and you can't have smart players without them seeing what was going on with Dwayne Starks. And if Bill Belichick continues to put him out there, all the players are going to look around and say, this guy's killing us. He's not giving the effort that we need on this team. Why is he out here? So Bill Belichick really had no choice in this manner than to put him on injured reserve. You couldn't cut him because of the salary cap implication. I think a bonus would have kicked in and hurt you a little bit. But the fact is, the players know what's going on as well as the coach, and the coach had no choice in this situation.
I just want to ask Ted Johnson. Obviously, you could group Tyrone Poole in that mix, too. I'm going to go back to last year, Ted. I don't know if you're at liberty to talk about it or if you want to, if you've crossed that line or not, but were we misled in the media? I think Poole was cleared 100% to play. Supposedly, he said he wasn't going to go. Then, boom, all of a sudden, next thing we knew, he was on injured reserve at the end of last year, too. Similar type situation here?
I'm going to plead ignorance on that one, Scott. I don't really know all the details of that deal, but you're right. The only thing is there's always somebody else that you got to answer to. When they brought in Starks, he was making $3 million. There's $3 million, or 3 million reasons, I should say, to give him the benefit of the doubt. And enough's enough. After a while, it becomes obvious that the guy's attitude wasn't there. So you got to make a move. It was really hurting your team. So. In the end, they bit the bullet and made the right decision, I think.
You know, we talked to Tyrone Poole just about a week ago or a couple weeks ago, and he said he was ready to go. I mean, he didn't know why he wasn't playing, or at least that's the story he told the media. All of a sudden, he's out for the season. Tyrone Poole compared to Dwayne Starks. Dwayne Starks can't play. And Dwayne Starks was a first-round draft pick, but the guy can't play.
Tyrone Poole is he's a unique person, really. I mean, he's a very, very gifted, very talented player. When he's healthy, he's very, very good. But Tyrone, a lot of times he does things on his own. He doesn't maybe buy into the team concept like you need to all the time. When he does, he's the best teammate to have. And so that situation is a little bit unclear to me, and it's too bad because I think he really could have helped his team.
Well, if Starks can't play, as Steve said, why did they pay him $3 million to bring him in here?
That's a good question. I don't know. That's up to that's where you have to look at the scouting department and what they saw in Dwayne. And
why would you ask that question? You know the reason for that. They made a mistake.
He may have been a beneficiary of what was a very good Ravens defense. And Teddy, and you guys know this, what makes a defensive back look better than a great pass rush or an intimidating front seven? That might have been a situation where he is better when he is in front of a bunch of guys like Ray Lewis and all the pass rushers that they have down in Baltimore.
That's true, but Steve, that they know that too.
True.
They can see they know the guy's flaws, and so. But you're absolutely right when you say that. But these guys obviously saw something in Dwayne that justified a guaranteed contract and to pay him what they did. So. To their credit, they had to come bait and run, and they did it, and I think the team's better off for it.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me jump in here, but I just don't want to get overly dramatic about coaches and coaches losing teams, because sometimes after a while you tune out your coach, no matter what kind of a genius he might be perceived as, because you hear the same things over and over again. How close was Belichick after that Indianapolis game to losing this team? Ted?
I think he was very close. Bob, to be quite honest with you, I think he was very, very close. This game, if they lose this game, I think Katie bar the doors, it's over. But they found a way. I mean, they played with a tenacity and a resolve that I didn't really expect them to play with. So my hat's off to them. The boys, they responded like champs, like they always have. And I got to give it up to them. If they lose this game, I really think the season's over. They responded like they were supposed to, like professionals. And really why they've been defined as champions the last 3 out of 4.
Well, we can sit here and talk about Starks till we're blue in the face. He's ancient history right now. He's gone. He's on IR. You might as well forget about him. And I think, Diossi wants to make an impassioned plea for Ellis Hobbs as player of the game. And I think that's the one thing that comes out of this game today, is that they looked within the body of the roster, found a guy that they drafted very high last year. And this guy proved, at least to me, Steve, that he has the ability to play at this level at the cornerback position. That's the one thing that I take out of this game.
As far as
today.
an off-season move, because if you want to talk about Starks, I mean, we could sit here all day. We could talk about David Terrell. We could talk about Chad Brown. We could talk about Marnie Basel. 4 huge free agents they brought in. What have these guys done so far? But I like to go even deeper than that. You talk about Ellis Hobbs. You talk about Teddy Bruschi today. I think this was, in essence, a hump game for him to get over the hump in Miami, to play as many plays as he did on the field. I don't care. This guy hasn't been practicing. You can do so much cardio as you want on side, but to go down Miami, play like he did, and have the big play where he saved the 1 touchdown, knocking down the pass, and still made all the defensive calls to try to get lined up. I think this goes a long way for Teddy Bruschi this game.
But okay, Steve, make your impassioned plea. No.
Well, you expect a lot of that stuff out of Teddy Bruschi, even just being 2 games into it. But Ellis Hobbs, those 2 defended fades at the end of the game, 1 pick, 1 fumble recovery on the Rosie Colvin caused fumble, at least 2 or 3 passes defended, and most importantly, he was forcing the run very, very well, unlike we saw any cornerbacks doing for the Patriots so far. He played an all-around game. Out of position a couple times, got caught a couple times, was fortunate that Chambers dropped a pass or 2, but for the most part, I think Ellis Hobbs distinguished himself as a guy that's going to demand more playing time on this team, regardless of injuries.
Any more Miami conversation? Go ahead.
Yeah, I will say this. Plus, Ellis Hobbs is one of those emotional guys. I mean, he plays with a lot of emotion. When he makes a big play, he'll get up and let everybody know he makes a big play. Getting back to Teddy Bruschi for a moment, coming off the field, I'm walking off with Teddy Bruschi, and he is dead tired walking through the tunnel to the locker room. But he came up huge today, stopping that touchdown pass, deflecting the Desperate pass, had a big game.
That was that play. They were wide open. They had Walker down the middle, and Teddy made a great break on it. Otherwise they score 7 there, and they missed a field goal right after that. So they came away with no points. So Teddy, he's known for his big playability. He made a couple big plays today, and that's got to be huge for his confidence. Like you guys said, kind of a hump game for Teddy. You should start seeing him play more like his style from here on in.
Okay, I hate to see you guys miss your plane.
That won't be bad.
Like you care.
No, I care.
No, you don't.
I do care, actually. Nui, no, hang in there.
I'll give you another guy that deserves a lot of credit on this club right now. Left tackle Nick Kaiser, K-A-C-Z, Kaiser,
We've heard it all different
whatever.
ways.
Goes up against Dwight Freeney last Monday night in the debacle, and Freeney,
pretty good.
I don't know, didn't do much. Goes up against Jason Taylor. Now they move Jason Taylor around, right end, the middle, left end, or whatever. But he get beat once or twice. But filling in for Matt Light as a rookie, this kid's doing a phenomenal job, and allowed the Patriots to slip that tight end out of that position where they didn't have to keep him in to protect against Jason Taylor on every single play. Allowed Benjamin Watson to get into the secondary and catch a couple of touchdown passes. He's gone unnoticed, but he deserves a lot of kudos, as far as I'm concerned, for filling in for Matt Light and doing a darn good job. However you pronounce his name.
2 games against 2 of the premier outside pass rushing defensive ends in the league, and we were all worried about that coming into this game and last week. But I think he distinguished himself quite well. They shadowed a little bit of the tight end. They flashed him in front of Jason Taylor a couple times, but for the most part, it was not double teaming Jason Taylor. And I think the rookie did a pretty good job overall.
Okay, we got to show you some highlights. We got to bring you to a player of the game vote, which you weighed in on. Was it Heath Evans, number 44? The mystery man, Ellis Hobbs, Teddy Bruschi, or someone else? Go back to the highlights. Fifth quarter, the Patriots won this football game over Miami. They're 5-4, 23-16. The defense came up big in the end. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to New England Ford Patriots Fifth Quarter. Brought to you by the New England Ford dealers, home of the best-selling cars and trucks in New England.
All right, the player of the game, Ellis Hobbs. Steve Diassi's lobbying has paid off, and justifiably so. Ellis Hobbs, 24% and a nice, solid win for him today as player of the game.
I can be rather persuasive when I give him the right tools, and he played a hell of a game.
Listen to you.
What?
If you have any legal difficulties, call 1-800-DEOSSIE.
I'm taking credit for a rookie playing well.
And he'll be happy to plead your case in front of any jury in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Listen,
Steve Diassi.
I've been divorced twice. I can argue as well as anyone, okay?
All right,
He's got a lot of experience in court.
That's right.
Let's move on to the
highlights. This entire panel, the more I think about it.
Let's go. Let's take this in another direction.
Let's go on to the highlights. Setting the scene. Belichick and Saban, they go back a long way.
Buddy.
Yeah, coach against coach, and Richard Seymour was in the game. Daniel Graham is not in the game. Corey Dillon in uniform, but only on the field for one play. Dillon's replacement, Heath Evans.
Who is this guy?
Whatever he does, he runs north and south. He's not a 2 or 3 cut guy. One cut and go. And you know what? Sometimes that's the best thing you can do offensively as a running back, just getting into the league. Just hit the hole where they say it's going to be and see what happens. That was a great hole, great blocking by the offensive line.
He didn't carry the ball from Miami, did he? He just blocked, didn't he?
Nope. I think you're absolutely right. But again, a guy that gets upfield in that situation, you try to teach guys that play. And Teddy Bruschi, again, with just big play after big play. For him to make this play, watch his stretch out. Amazing. Made a similar play later in the game, too. Just a tremendous effort on Teddy's part.
And he says, hop on the bus, Gus. Gus Frerotte. Dolphins must go for the field goal, and Mahe misses from 31.
Shocking. The guy's usually money and missed that one. But you asked Bob why Heath Evans didn't lug the mail very much for Nick Saban. 2 reasons. One of them, Ricky Williams. The other one, this guy, rookie out of Auburn, Ronnie Brown, legitimate Rookie of the Year candidate in the AFC. 16 yards here, sets up the first touchdown of the ballgame.
And Frerotte to Chris Chambers for a 3-yard touchdown, and this would put the Dolphins on top 7-0. They just snagged it out of the air.
Touchdown, Miami. A little height mismatch there with Samuel and Chambers. Chambers winning that battle, but Samuel would win his share before the day was over.
So they go again to Randy McMichael, who falls down, gets back up, and then Ellis Hobbs recovers the fumble.
Well, you never fault a guy trying to get extra yards, but in this case, Rosie Colvin with great hustle coming downfield. Watch this as he comes in after the play. McMichael trying to get up, getting a few extra yards. He smells the end zone. Rosie Colvin, very smart play, getting his arm in there. You could see him going right after the ball, and Ellis Hobbs, right man in the right spot. Another great play for him.
All right, final seconds of the second, and the Patriots are able to salvage some points.
Here's another guy out of mothballs, Christian Fourier. That's his first catch of the season, and it would help set up a field goal by Adam Vinatieri, and that made it 7-3 Fins at the end of one.
Third quarter, Brady up again, picked off by Javaris Tillman.
Now that might have been a dumb play. It was there was a ball that was underthrown a little bit, and another great play by the defender. Though he turned around right at the exact correct time and made a great play.
And here we go, the aforementioned lighting it up, and Ricky Williams up in smoke.
Let me out of here, man.
But we're right. We've seen Samuel do this a number of times. Not to as big a guy as Ricky Williams, but we've seen him lay the wood to a number of guys. And again, that was indicative of what this defensive secondary was ready to do.
He didn't say gotcha. He said ganja. Later in the third, Pat's on the move. Brady to Andre Davis. Pass interference call.
The only time his name was mentioned today, but it was Daniels, at times, at first blush, this looked like a bad call, but the more you see it, Steve, his hands are all over his arms.
And he reached deliberately to try to pull back Andre Davis's arm, and you could see it, where the flag came from. The referee had a perfect view of the play.
And made it 7-6, and the final play of the third on the move again. Brady flushed, and Ben Watson is first of two for 12-7 Patriot lead.
And this is what happens when you blitz and you're not successful. As Benjamin Watson would go in there, and they had nobody back there to pick him up. Safety comes over late, touchdown.
And the zone blitz, Jason Taylor was supposed to reroute him a little bit more than that, too.
And they go for two, and Troy Brown drops it, but he wants them to throw the flag, the beanbag, because he thought he caught it.
Thank goodness Belichick didn't pay attention to him. Troy was adamant about this, but watch this. The ball hits the ground right there and bounces back up into his hands. He caught it on the second and third bounce, but unfortunately the first bounce was on the ground.
And here comes our man, Ellis Hobbs, again.
Had a chance earlier in the game to make a pick, but this one was deflected at the line of scrimmage, and Hobbs made this play, and that set up a Vinatieri field goal, and the Patriots had an 8-point cushion.
In the fourth, 15-10, Pats on the move, and then Bell, who made a great play on Ben Watson.
Came right underneath it. You could see him accelerate if you saw the play accelerated underneath the ball, and this is a funny play right here. I think this might have been Randall Gay's guy. If you see Randall Gay brings the guy across in motion, has him in motion, then sees the ball on the ground, and just through being a football player, tried to go after the football.
They go for two, and it's snuffed out. But after that play, a blown play off the snap, you're watching, you're saying, this just is not our year. Stuff like this goes against us.
And here's the ball to Watson. I should say the ball to Dwight. That was the play of the game, because it instantly gave the Patriots field position that you thought at the time would have been good enough to snuggle up for a little Vinatieri field goal with a couple of seconds left. They decided to attack from this position and not sit back from about the 25-yard line.
Talk about a game of inches. That very easily could have been an interception. Tim Dwight grabbed the ball right here, right out of the defender's hands. That was very good coverage and an incredible throw, and more importantly, a tremendous effort by Tim Dwight. I'm not sure why he came back to where the tacklers were at the end of the play there, but nonetheless, it didn't really matter.
Vinatieri saying, okay, thank you very much, and then Ben Watson again. And this was a great, great play.
Well, it wasn't only Vinatieri that was thinking about just playing it out and waiting for the field goal. Obviously, the Miami Dolphins were thinking the same thing. They had 7 guys up in the box and then 4 guys across the board, almost at the goal line. And watch this. This is a perfect pass by Tom Brady, and a great job getting that left foot down by Ben Watson. He had a tremendous game today.
And don't underestimate the value of getting the 2-point conversion to give them a 7-point cushion, because against this secondary, no lead is safe. Here's Wilson blowing an easy tackle, giving the guy an extra 18 yards.
It's like the Red Sox bullpen.
No idea how you let that guy go along the sideline like that.
Fourth down from the 10, Pats blitz, Farrat for Chambers. You know what?
Could have had it.
This was catchable. Chambers dropped a few passes today.
Look from behind in the end zone. If we have that replay, and you'll see 2 or 3 replays of this, we're saying that, you know what?
Watch this. That's a little bit at his hip and down low, but this guy's a fairly good receiver. He had a horrible day today, and he did not answer Nick Saban's challenge whatsoever.
When it's 4th and goal, you have to catch the ball.
Got to fight. Watch this. You can see it. He's got his hands on it. That's catchable. He tries to catch it against his body. That's a mistake he made. Then, of course, he turns around and begs for the pass interference because he knows he screwed up.
That was it, 23-16. Pats now 5-4 on the year. Good job on the highlights, guys. Let's take a break. We'll come right back.
The Patriots game highlights are brought to you by McDonald's. I'm loving it. Welcome back to New England Ford Patriots 5th quarter. Brought to you by the New England Ford dealers, home of the best-selling cars and trucks in New England.
Well, here is what's coming up next Sunday. Game day, New England Ford game day at 11:30 as usual. And the Saints are at the Patriots. It's not on CBS 4, it's a Fox game. Game is on Fox, but we will have a 5th quarter on UPN 38 following that game. And then we have a doubleheader game afterwards. Is it Buffalo at San Diego? Is it the Jets at Denver or Indy and Cincinnati? We don't know just yet, but we'll have to wait and see. But we do have a 5th quarter on UPN 38 following next Sunday's game in Foxborough as the Saints are in town. 23-16, I think the Patriots played with a little more life in their step this afternoon in Miami, and they absolutely had to.
Oh, yeah, and I think, as you look at this game, you can look at it one of two ways. I mean, I guess if you're a glass half full kind of person, you could say, hey, they won without a number of important people, particularly on offense, guys that you thought would play and did not. Guys like Givens and Dillon and Graham and ultimately Copen going out of the game, and yet they found a way to win the football game. You see the glasses half empty, you say, hey, a stiff like Gus Frerotte put up 380 yards of passing offense against you. But hey, the bottom line again is to win the division and to get into the playoffs. And I think what we saw today, Bob, is some glimpses, and I only say glimpses, that there is room for improvement within the context of the team. That being Ellis Hobbs and Asante Samuel that played improved games today. And if they continue to progress, then perhaps by the end of this season, this team can put forward a defense that can at least give you a chance to do something in the playoffs.
Well, what are the negative things that you take away from this game? The first thing is obviously the pass yardage, and it should have been over 400 if it wasn't for Chambers dropping 2 or 3 passes. Easily could have been over 400. The slow start offensively, 5 straight punts. You never want to do that, especially against a decent defense like Miami. The aggressive game plan, the idea of the pros, what you take that's good out of this game is the run defense was a lot better. A lot more guys around the football. The run offense was aggressive and chewing up some good-sized yards. They created some turnovers. This has been a big problem for this team. 6 turnovers over the first 8 games. Ridiculous. They created a couple this time. And I think the aggressive game plan, the blitzing and some of the deep passes that they threw offensively, I liked it. That put these guys in an aggressive mindset. That's the one way a coach can help his team in terms of getting them back on the right track.
Let's take a look at the schedule. The trend continues. Win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1. It's gone that way, and they're coming off a win. And now the Saints, and the Chiefs without Priest Holmes losing to Buffalo today in Buffalo, then the Jets and at Buffalo.
Well, I think the Saints are the weakest team on the Patriots' schedule this year. They got some decent talent, but they always seem to find a way to lose football games for whatever reason. Kansas City, not the team they once were. Holmes is out, but always at Arrowhead, you got a battle there. But look, at this season is going to boil down to the last 4 divisional games. Sure. They've already beaten Buffalo once and Miami once, so now they have 4 games left: 2 against the Jets with Brooks Bollinger at the helm, 1 at Buffalo, 1 here against the Dolphins on the final week of this season. I would submit they are in excellent shape to win the AFC East as long as they take care of business against teams in their own division. And thus far, they have been able to do that. And this win today, coming with this laundry list of injuries, to me, Bob, goes a long way to secure the championship of the AFC East. People will say, hey, so what? It's a terrible division. Hey, it is what it is. You got a list of injuries. You got to play the schedule in front of you.
Sure.
You got to beat these teams. Even if you go in, 9-7, 10-6, once that playoff season starts, everyone's got a clean slate. Everyone starts fresh.
And I agree with you about the Saints, but the only reason the Jets are not the least pathetic team that they're playing is because they're familiar with the Patriots, and they've always played the Patriots tough no matter what. But Tampa Bay could be in a situation at the end of the season where they're not even playing anymore for their coach. Things have fallen apart rather quickly for them, but there still is no reason why you can't finish 5-1, maybe even 6-0 in this division. But as long as you win those last 2 or 3 games going into the playoffs and you got things together and maybe some guys get healthy, then you're in a position to do damage in the playoffs. We all agree that they're going to make the playoffs. Now you want to be playing well going into the playoffs. You don't want to limp in there with a loss in the last game of the season.
So you look at that schedule and you say, okay, they could run the table even with the injuries that they have, even with the team that they have. And that looks like maybe their most difficult game of all would be the one in Buffalo.
Probably in Buffalo. I still think Kansas City, even though Priest Holmes is gone, I think Larry Johnson is an adequate runner. I think Arrowhead's a very difficult place to play. But with all the injuries that this team has and the erratic nature that we've seen so far, I think it'd be very difficult for them to run the table. But they have to concentrate on their divisional games because that's how they're going to get in the playoffs.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up for Bob Newmeyer and Steve Diassi and Scott Zolak and those guys down in Miami, Ted Johnson, Steve Burton, and Michael Felder. I'm Bob Lobel. Patriots win at 23-16. They're 5-4. Thank you all for being with us tonight on Sports Final. We'll recap this baby today, and we'll see what's going on with the Red Sox. Always with the Red Sox. Tonight at 11:30, and of course, the Revolution. You never know. Could be another parade in our future. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for watching New England Ford Patriots 5th quarter.